Welcome back. Welcome back. Wholesale Hardknocks.
Yo, yo,
Your
yo.
boy Daryl. What's good, Mike? What's good, Mike?
What up, big
How you
dog?
doing, bro?
Man, just crushing life as usual. Just another lovely Saturday.
Yes, sir.
What's going on in the
Yes,
world
sir.
now?
Bro, same, bro. Just crushing it, man. Overcoming obstacles every single day. Just getting better. It's getting better, bro. Today, what we got, y'all, and I'm actually excited about this because, Mike, you know, I'm getting ready to start my direct to seller back up. So I'm interested in learning the step by step on how to get started with direct to seller. We're gonna break that down. We're gonna break down how like everything, cold calling, everything, texting, right? How you want to, how the very first steps you should take to have a successful direct to seller business. We're also going to go through JV as well. I'm going to go through the step by step on how to have a successful JV business. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you guys are putting them in the chat. Jabs, I did get that earnest money, bro. It's the power of sub 2. Yo, crazy. My TC came to us in the morning meeting, right? She's like, yo, we need $1,000 for this earnest money. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't want to pay for it. She's like, it's due by today. We had somebody else that was going to do it, but they just didn't want to do it. For some reason, they couldn't do it, right? So I'm like, all right, fine. I made a post in sub 2. I'm like, I need $1,000 earnest money. Bro, the Gators came out of everywhere, bro. Like 70 likes, like 30 comments, bro. It was crazy. So shout out to sub 2. We got the earnest money within like 10 minutes.
Dang, bro.
We're good, bro. It's awesome.
Holy crap.
It's not like it was a crazy amount. Like it's 1,000. Like I probably could have did it myself, but somebody commented on the post. They're like, why would this guy try to buy a house and he doesn't have $1,000 to put down for earnest? I'm like, bro, I can buy 500 McChickens with that, bro. Like, why would I spend my own money, bro?
Word. What? Like, I never want to spend my own money if I don't gotta. Why would you?
Right.
Same thing. We just
bro.
not 1,000, but we needed 10,000 for earnest money.
Yeah.
We just raised it. I mean, why the hell would we go into our own pockets? Actually, you know why, right? I'm gonna break down the numbers for you guys. Here's why we would never use our own money. Because we're getting, in my business, we're getting probably like 5 to 7x our money. The money that we spend in marketing, we're literally getting like 5 to 7x return on that. So let's just say we put in $10,000 in marketing, we're literally making $50,000 to $70,000. So does it make sense to go put $10,000 down in earnest money when I could just bring that in from somewhere? Not at all. Why would I do that? And then like
Jabs just said too, it's a relationship builder as well when you use other people's money. Not as somebody that you can come to whenever. Like these are just made a friend, right?
Right. Like, think about that. Think about it's only $1,000, but think about what comes from that. You one, get the relationship, but two, you're also building credibility.
Yeah.
So now you can either reach out to him the next time you need more money. Let's just say you need $10,000 next time. Maybe he probably has a $10,000. He got a return as 1,000. Why wouldn't he do 10? Okay. And you also get the story. Hey, we just had a guy that submitted earnest money for us. He got a return on his investment in the first month or whatever, right?
Exactly.
It's the story now. So
exactly.
I love it, bro.
Exactly.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna do that. You guys can see my whiteboard. That is 9 deals that we have going on right now.
Yes, sir.
We still need to open escrow on 5 of them, I think. So we're gonna need earnest money.
Say
that again.
Oh, go ahead. Nah, I'm listening. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we're gonna need earnest money on 5 of those deals. If you guys want to be a lender for earnest money on those deals, shoot me a text, or actually shoot me a DM on Instagram at the Mike Gomes.
Hell yeah, it's the way to go, bro. Yo, do you have a transaction coordinator?
Just hired one yesterday.
Fire.
That's why.
Fire. I was gonna say, yeah, bro. It's impossible to keep up with all those deals by yourself. So I learned that stuff the hard way. Cryptic asked, do you market on? Do you dispo on market deals? Do you, Mike?
For me, I'm not saying that it's not a good model, right? Like I'm not downplaying the model or something like that, but it's just not my vibe. One, I don't like talking to agents. It's not my style. It's not my avatar, as Pace would say. Like I just don't really like talking to agents, right? Like I love negotiating with sellers. I love talking to sellers and getting them under contract. However, agents, it's like doesn't get me excited. So I just stay away from the on-market deals. And same thing with our buyers. Like I'd rather sell a buyer an off-market deal than an on-market deal. But at the end of the day, like, dude, people absolutely crush it. Look at Jonah Corchin. He crushes the
Yeah,
aging. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not downplaying it. I'm not like talking shit about it, but it's just not. I know my personality. It's not my personality.
1,000%. Same. I mean, it's definitely doable, right? People are crushing it every single day on market properties. But just like Mike said, it's not our avatars. It's not my avatar. Just doesn't get me excited, you know. So let's
I
get into it
actually
today, bro.
cool. Let's get it. I actually just bought
What are you
it.
gonna say?
I'm buying a deal right now on the market.
Yeah.
Here's what happened. I get like the Redfin emails and all that. Like Redfin, Realtor.com, Zillow, they'll send you emails.
Right.
One popped up in my
Yeah.
market, like literally right down the street from my office. And I'm like, dude, I got to submit an offer on this thing. It's not my model. I never do it, but I talked to the agent. I negotiated with the agent, and it's a fix and flip that we're buying. So, I mean, I do on market. I'll do any deals, but at the end of the day, it's not what I
For sure.
focus on. That just happened to come up in my email.
I think it's important too, though, to have that stream. Like that's eventually a goal to start getting deals from on market as well.
Hell yeah.
I just like the way that I like to do one thing at a time. Like I gotta get this set up. Okay, then we're on to the next thing. Then we get set up. Probably not. I don't know if it's the right thing to do. That's just how I operate, you know.
I'll tell you, it is the right thing to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
For
in the
sure.
beginning, I was doing everything. Actually, I was trying to do on market stuff and direct the seller at the same time, and it wasn't working. I was just trying to do too much. I was doing
Yeah,
a
you gotta
lot of
lock in.
the double dip strategy where you call an agent, you tell them that they can represent you. That way, they get both the buyer and seller commissions. That's actually what I did with that deal that we're buying down the street. But homie said, random question: what is Hard Knocks? The Hard Knock lifestyle, bro.
Yes, sir. That's because we don't just show the goods like most people on YouTube. They're just showing the ups, right? Like we want to show every
Here's what
single
Hard Knocks
part
is.
of this.
That's Hard Knocks.
Dang, bro, turn that off before we get copyrighted, bro.
Or
All right, but but really too, and what I think about it is like it's just a grind, right? Like what I thought about when I think about Hard Knocks is the NFL, right? Hard Knocks they go through football camp, right? They show one NFL team's football camp like every year, right? And if you guys watch it, it's a grind, like football camp and just playing. Like me and Mike both played football. We both went through that struggle, and just like the lessons that you learn from going through that grind and just working, right? And just getting that end result is crazy, right? So we want to show the whole grind. We want to show the whole grind. Because me and Mike, we're not nowhere near where we're gonna be, right? In the future, right? We're about to crush it, and
yeah,
we
bro.
want to show the whole journey. We want to show the whole journey, just the whole Hard Knocks, you know.
Yeah, like Daryll was saying, if you guys ever where the Wholesale Hard Knocks name came from is we both played football, and if you guys ever saw that show on HBO, it's called Hard Knocks, where literally they bring a football team and they show the whole entire training camp. And me and Daryll going through multiple training camps in our life know that training camp is a bitch. Like that's the hardest part of football, to get through those 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it is, right? Once you get through that, like, yo, it's game time. But you got to get through the shit. And this is the shit that you got to go through. So
Hell
let's
yeah.
freaking get into it, dog. I saw one
Let's
question.
get
Do you
it.
know any Ohio investors who crush it? Yes. I know.
I know a lot of them.
Hell yeah. One of my favorite is Kevin Kozak. So if you go to Kevin Kozak on Instagram, Kevin KEVIN underscore Kozak KOZAK, he's a freaking killer. He's buying deals. He's wholesaling. He's a beast. He's doing a lot of stuff over there.
I love it. I love it. All right, bro. So, Mike, how do I get into direct to seller, bro? Like, if I want to start cold calling, if I have, you want to start like if you have money or like, I mean, I guess either way, it's just pretty much the same thing. But if I want to get into direct to seller, I know I want to talk to sellers. I want cold call. I want to text. How do I get into that, bro?
Okay. So why don't I share my screen?
Let's do it. Shout out to everybody who's watching right now. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to both channels if you're not subscribed to both channels. Me and Mike go live every single Saturday, 12 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Arizona time, and we're talking everything real estate, everything wholesale, and everything fix and flip, rentals, creative finance. We're talking everything. Um, while Mike's getting that up, I got another question. Antoine Living, how did you get your first deal? We're about to go through that right now, bro. We're about to help you get your first deal. Just pay attention. If you want to start with direct to seller, I recommend starting direct to seller, cold calling, start talking to people. But it all depends, right? If you we answered that on our watch last week's video as well. We showed you different steps on how to get your first deal, and we're continuing this conversation today.
Yes, sir. So this is how I got my first deal. So direct to seller. In your opinion, Daryl, what does direct to seller mean?
When you're direct to that person who wants to sell, right? It's straightforward, right? Like I'm talking to the person who's making the decision. I'm speaking to the person who's selling this home. Their name is on the deed, and I'm buying it. So we're going direct to the seller.
You sound like a robot for some reason with your mic a little bit. But
Oh
yeah,
man,
essentially what direct to seller is what Daryl said. You're reaching right out to the homeowner in some sort of way. There's a bunch of different ways that you can reach out to the homeowner. But I'm going to show you guys how I got my first deal and how I get the majority of my deals right now. My direct to seller strategy. We went over, if you guys watched last week, all the different direct to seller strategies. Being direct mail, radio, cold call, text, door knock, like so many different things that you could do for direct to seller. But for me in my business, I'm doing cold calling and texting. And that's what a lot of people do. So let's talk about it, right? There's direct to seller, there's all these strategies, right? But we're going to talk about cold call and text. So, what do you need in order to cold call and text? You're going to need prospects. This is essentially like the first thing that you need. You need to know who you are cold calling and texting. So, what is a prospect? A prospect is essentially an address, a name, and a phone number. So, for some reason, you're going to go prospect that person. Maybe you drove by the house and you saw that it's run down. Maybe you pulled the list and there was a pre-foreclosure list that you pulled off or something like batch leads or prop stream. Some sort of prospect, some sort of address, phone number, and name that you're going to go after to see if they would sell their house for some sort of reason. There has to be some sort of pain attached to it, right? So for me, in my business, we prospect blanket like pain list, what we call it. So what we're doing, right? We're going to places like we're pulling lists of prospects from PropStream and batch leads, right? And essentially what this list is is a blanket pain list, meaning there are a bunch of things attached to these prospects that could make them want to sell their house. This could be, name some down.
They're just tired of owning it, right? Tired landlord. You got pre-foreclosure, like you said. What else? You got vacant for a long time, right? Tax liens. So many. You have I've heard people talk about child support liens. You can pull a child support lien list. Um, put some in the chat. What you guys got in the chat? Put some lists you guys can call if you guys are making calls. Um, what else we got? High equity, no equity. Yeah.
So all these are essentially what? They're
You're targeting
pain or reasons to sell.
Yeah.
Right? So we're prospecting people that probably want to sell their house for some sort of reason, either now or in the future. Okay. What do we do once we pull these lists from PropStream and Batch Leads?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we got skip trace and bad boys.
Yeah. So, right, we went up here, right? We talked about prospects.
Okay.
What is a prospect? It's a name, an address, and a phone number. So the list, when you're pulling one of these lists, you're only getting the name and the address. So what do we have? What do we still have to do in order to make it a prospect? We got to get their phone number. So we got to do this thing called skip trace. So there are a ton of skip tracing softwares out there that you can go to. We just use Batch Leads.
Guys, please don't waste time figuring out like what's the best skip tracing site and procrastinating. They all work, right? Most of them are getting their data from the same places. Some are better than the others. You may have to pay more for some, but just skip trace them, call them, and see what happens. Right? Don't let that slow you down.
Yeah, I've done deals literally from like every single software.
Yeah.
From Batch Lead, like any skip tracing software. I used to use REI Skip, Batch Leads, PropStream. Deal Machine has a skip tracing software. Like literally, I've done deals from every single type of skip tracing software. So what does that mean? They all work. So what Daryl's saying is don't get caught up in analysis paralysis. Just go in and take one and take action. So you got to skip trace them and get their phone number. Boom. So now what do? Now you have a list of prospects. You have a list of people that have some sort of pain, right? They're attached to some sort of pain, whether it's pre-foreclosure, tax lien, or something. And you have their name, you have their phone number, you have their address. What do you have to do now? You have to call them or text them to see if they would ever sell their house. You have to prospect them. So what do we have? What do we need now, Daryl? Like, what does it go from when it goes from a prospect to the next thing? What's the next thing? Like,
you need a phone. You need a phone. You need some way to call these people. Right? You need to get in contact with these people. Now, starting off, you may not have the money to get a dollar, but or you can use a single dollar. You can use a single hand, like this hand dial, use your phone, or you can get a dollar, right? A dollar is obviously going to cost money, but the main point is you need to get in contact with these people somehow.
You know what I'm going to say, bro? I'm going to say that you need a freaking dollar.
I think so too.
Like, put it this way. If you're to the point where you're like, I literally don't have any freaking money at all, dude, you better go hustle and find $100 to go spend on a damn dollar.
Yeah.
Or you just don't want this shit enough. Like, can we just be honest here?
That's facts.
You see what I'm saying? Like, do you really want this shit or no? You can't go out and hustle and make $100 for a $1. You got to do it, right? Or else it's just like, to me, you're not invested enough. You're not convicted enough that this is what you want to do.
That's
So
real.
I'm going to go ahead and say you need a freaking dialer. So I used to use a very simple dial in the beginning called Mojo, right? And then my business started leveling up and I got to higher level dialers. We now use batch dialer, but this is the same thing as the skip tracing software. Don't get caught up on all the different dialers. Just pick one and get in it. And essentially what happens, right, is you have this list of prospects and you have a dialer. You essentially, what you do is you essentially upload this list into the dialer and literally you press a button and it starts calling. There's a bunch of YouTube videos on like what dialers to use and how to upload the list and everything. Just go search on YouTube how to upload a list to whatever dialer, right? And you'll figure out how to do that. But what's going to happen is literally you're going to sit there on a headset, or your virtual assistant is going to sit there on a headset, and the dialer is just going to trickle. It's going to call a bunch of people. It's going to call like 3 people at a time. Finally, somebody answers the phone. Now, what do you got to do?
When you call these people and you talk to them, are all of them just like they're just ready to go? Just give me my house, bro. Just take it for the lowest price as possible.
Hell no. This is what you got to do. It's this simple. You literally just have to have a conversation.
Yep.
So, to back up just a little bit, actually, I'm not going to do that yet. Essentially, what you have to do once you have your lists in place and you're dialing, finally somebody answers the phone and they say, yeah, I would sell my house. You just have a very simple conversation. Dad, what do you think these 4 things are?
The 4 pillars.
Got it.
You got motivation. Why is this person selling? Mm-hmm. What's going on? What's making them want to sell? You got timeline. And I'm going in order of importance as well. How soon does this person need to sell? And notice I said need, not want. Condition. What does this property look like? What is its current condition? And then price.
So you ask them, hey, would you ever sell your house? They say, yes, I would sell my house. Okay, great. Why would you ever sell it? When do you want to sell it? What does this property look like? How much do you want to sell it for? And now what do you have, bro?
You have a lead.
You have a freaking lead, bro.
Now, real quick, I want to hit on that. Now you got to have a natural conversation, right? Like, and there's if you guys want to know how to have these good conversations and know exactly what you're supposed to look for, go back to our sales training video. We went through how to have these conversations with sellers. It's just have conversations, right? Make a friend, figure out what's going on and how you can help. Femi said qualify and disqualify, especially when you're cold calling, because you got to think, Mike, all of these people that you just pulled a list from, right? Are they like are they on a list saying that they want to sell? Are these lists are people that want to sell their properties, or like where is this list coming from?
We got to remember this list is attached to pain. So a lot of them do want to sell their properties, but some of them, the pain went away, or there was never any pain. It was just bad data. So a lot of people don't want to sell, right? So you have to, like Femi was talking about, you have to qualify and disqualify. You just have to have the conversation. This first initial conversation can be so simple. Like this conversation in my business is a very, very simple conversation with my virtual assistants. It's literally like a 2 or 3 minute conversation.
Yep.
Hey, you selling your house, right? They say yes. Okay, great. Is this property vacant, or is this like one of your rentals or a property that you live in? You get that information. Okay, great. Why would you ever sell this property? Got it. When do you want to sell it? How much do you want to sell it for? Okay, cool. I'm going to pass you off to the team. It's literally a 2 or 3 minute conversation. Super easy. And then it gets further qualified or followed up with my team and stuff. But it can be that easy because think about it. if all you did was sat there and talked to people from 2 or 3 minutes at a time and generated a list of a bunch of leads, and you're like, all right, I have these people like that have some motivation, they want to sell, but I just don't know what to do with it. All you have to do is find somebody that knows what the heck they're doing and send the lead over to them and have them call them. And then
Exactly.
that person who is a closer is going to use something similar to me and Daryl's video like 2 or 3 weeks ago where we went over the sales training. Like that's a little bit different. That's converting. That's closing. This is just prospecting. This is like the McDonald's sign saying, "Hey, we have dollar cheeseburgers," right? And then the closing and stuff is you going through the drive-through and looking at the menu and
Yeah,
all that thing, right? Like them cooking the food and doing the money thing and the service. That's closing. But
for sure.
prospecting is super super easy.
For sure.
I gotta get my
All
charger,
right.
bro. 1 sec.
Let me see something. Well, okay. So next we have a lead, right? So we'll wait for Mike. Guys, we do have a Q&A after this as well. So make sure you guys are getting your questions, putting your questions in the chat as we're going through it. How many conversations before turning over to a closer? We'll let Mike answer this because Mike is he's doing he's a cold call master. His business is cold call efficient.
So, how many conversations until you send it to a closer?
Yeah.
One, bro.
Okay.
If somebody said they want to sell their property and there's literally all you need is this. You don't even need any of the rest.
Motivation.
As long as they say, "Hey, I would sell my house for some particular reason," then it's qualified to send it to a closer. And then that closer is going to do one of two things. He's either going to close it. Actually, one of three things. He's either going to close it, he's going to put it into some sort of follow-up sequence, or he's going to be like, "Dude, this isn't a lead."
I like it. So you have your VAs or you have your virtual assistants. They're cold calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as somebody says, "I'm gonna sell this house,"
Mm-hmm.
they're passing it over. They don't need the timeline, condition, the price. As long as they say, "I would potentially sell this property," you're pushing it over.
Yep.
I like it. I like it.
So,
All right.
this is essentially direct to seller. The closing and stuff, what we're talking about and converting, is the sales training that we did like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So once you get it to this point, once you get it to be a lead, you have to do what?
You have to convert it. You got to close it.
Right.
Turn it into a deal. A lot of people confuse leads with deals. A lot of people do that.
Yeah, this is the next thing I'm just gonna get into. You have to turn this lead into what?
A
A
deal.
deal.
When is it? What is a deal, Mike?
A deal is, here's what a deal is. Actually, to keep it simple, it's just a contract. Something that a seller signed and said, "Hey, I would sell my house."
I wouldn't even say that. I wouldn't even say that's a deal. I would say it's not a deal until that wire hits your account, bro. Because anything can happen. Anything can happen. A deal is when that case is closed. No longer nothing to do with the house. It's not an escrow anymore. That deal is closed. We have a HUD. Money's in my pocket. Sellers all on to their next chapter. That's when it's a deal.
That is
Contract is a contract. So you got a lead contract, and you got a deal.
I like that actually.
Yeah.
So you got to convert a lead into a contract, and then a contract finally gets converted into a deal once it's performed on. I like that.
Exactly.
I love that. So yeah, essentially, like when we're talking about direct to seller, that is marketing. Like direct to seller is marketing. What is marketing? Marketing is prospecting leads. The other part is conversion. That's like a whole that's honestly a whole separate sector of the business.
For sure.
Like that's treated different in my business is treated different. Like I run this part of my business and my business partner runs all this. Because he's my integrator. He's the guy who is pulling all the data. He's the guy who's making sure that the virtual assistants are having the good conversations and all that. So, to give you guys an idea of what the conversation looks like for my team when they're generating a lead, it's very, very simple. They say, they first ask if the seller would sell their house. Finally, somebody says yes. Then they just ask, hey, is this your personal house or is this one of your rentals? And they try to strike up a conversation. They say, oh, it's one of my rentals. Oh, how have the tenants been? Oh, they've been good. Da, 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 da. They break the ice a little bit. And then they just get right into it. Hey, so why would you ever sell this house? They ask the motivation question. They don't dig into it. They don't really like go crazy into it, like asking well, why don't you sell with the realtor and all that? They don't do that. That's for the lead manager. So all they do is ask a motivation question. Why would you ever sell your house? Okay, cool. Well, if we can come to an agreement on a price, what price is good for you? Okay, you want $200,000 for it. Got it. When do you want to sell your house? I want to sell in 2 months. Okay, cool. What I'm going to do, so here's what happens now. My virtual assistant then says, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pass you over to our secretary. She is the person who sets up phone call appointments for the acquisitions team. She'll be in touch within the next hour. Okay, great. The lead manager hops on the phone. From there are 3 categories that this lead is put in. It's either hot, warm, or prospective, or you can just say cold, right? Like there's 3 levels to it. With those 3 levels, there's 3 different conversations. For the hot ones, where like all these pillars were hit like crazy, and my lead manager looks at the lead like, holy crap, this is a smoking lead. All she does is she says, hey, I'm the secretary here at Silver Homes. I set up the phone call appointments for the acquisitions team. At the moment, they are out on-site appointments, but they'll be back in the office tomorrow morning from 9:30 to 11:30. Is it cool if they call you then? Okay, great. Boom. That way they just set the expectations so that they show that there's a hierarchy, right? Now they're like, oh, wait, the acquisitions team is calling me, like I'm special.
I like that.
So go ahead.
So your lead manager, they're not really digging to paying really at all. They're just setting an appointment, or are they getting into everything as well?
So that's with a hot lead. The reason why we do that with a hot lead is because we don't want to annoy the hot lead. Like the hot lead already gave us a lot of sauce, right?
That makes sense.
So we just want to, you know what I'm saying? We just want to set the expectations for what's going to happen. Now, a warm lead, they have a little bit further conversation. Mm-hmm. So what the conversation is with a warm lead, this might be somebody that said that they want to sell their house in a few months. There was motivation that was kind of there. The prices maybe near retail, not the craziest not the hottest lead. So the lead manager says this. Lead manager says, hey, I am the secretary here at Silver Homes. I set up phone call appointments for the acquisitions team. Not too sure if we're ready for that yet, but could you just give me a recap of what you and Zai went over? Zai's one of our co-callers, of what you and Zai went over. Then she gathers some information, and then she asks some further vetting questions like, oh, have you ever thought about selling with a realtor? And those type of questions to pull a little bit more pain. Once she sees that, oh, this actually isn't a warm lead, this is a hot lead, she pushes it up to acquisitions. She says, okay, same thing that I just told you. The acquisitions team is on-site appointments at the moment. They'll be back in the office tomorrow morning between 9:30 and 11:30. They'll give you a call then.
Bro, this is gold, bro. I'm taking notes myself. Y'all aren't taking notes. Y'all are tripping. Take some notes right now because Mike is dropping fire. I like that because it's different for me, right? Like, because I'm strictly, and we're gonna go through my business later, right? As I'm strictly JV, right? So somebody sending me these leads, they already spoke to them. They're dead leads pretty much half the time. So my lead manager, he's treating it like a new lead every single time, right? Mm-hmm. And when we get them on the phone, he goes through everything, right? And he gets the 4 pillars, he dives deep, and then he sets a that they set an appointment for the closer at the end. So we're treating everything like a new lead, and we don't have that first step where it's just prospecting, right? So when I do get that, this is freaking helpful, bro.
For sure.
Hell yeah,
So if it's a hot lead, it gets pushed up to acquisitions.
yeah,
If it ends up being a follow-up, she just sets the follow-up. She sets the expectations for the follow-up. Actually,
right.
what she does is she asks them, okay, I know it sounds like you're not really too ready to sell your house at the moment. When should we follow up with you? If they
Yeah,
say 2 months, she cuts that time in half and sets the follow-up for a month.
super important. Always do that. Always
Mm-hmm.
do that. When the seller tells you follow up by a certain date, cut that in half. If they're telling me next week, I'm calling them back in 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time.
And then if it's a trash lead, like maybe the virtual assistant missed something or something like that, it's just not a lead, right? Then she marks it as a dead lead. That doesn't really happen because we just keep the pipeline filled. And we just keep them in our system because what my lead manager does when she's not on those calls is she's just calling through the system and
Yep.
trickling through the leads that are already in our system that were generated 6 to 12 months ago.
Yep.
So the cold leads, what she does with those is she actually tells them, this is somebody that said like, hey, I'm not ready to sell my house right now. You got to give me 6 to 12 months or something like that. And she knows that it's a cold lead, right? She knows that, hey, if I call this person, they might be annoyed because they just told my team member that like they're not ready to sell their house.
Yeah.
So she goes in a little bit different. Not the secretary now. She goes in as the relationship manager. Hey, my name is Alex. I'm the relationship manager here at Silver Homes. My job is to actually stay in touch with you until you're ready to sell your property. Once you're ready, then we'll send you over to the acquisitions team. I know Zai told me, she left me some notes here. She said that you weren't really too ready to sell your house, but like I said, we'll be in touch from here on out until you're ready to sell.
That's so good.
Then what she says is same thing. So I have it for the next call with us. Could you just give me a recap of what you and Zai went over? And she does the same thing and she tries pulling a little bit more information. She tries converting that cold lead into a warm or hot lead. And then she does one of three things again. Either pushes it to acquisitions, sets it in a follow-up, or trashes the lead.
Oh
Deadly.
my gosh, that's so good. So your lead manager, they have a different conversation based off of based off how much information that we have from them. That's so
Mm-hmm.
good, bro. That's so good. I'm taking
Mm-hmm.
that. I'm taking that.
Hell yeah, bro.
That's awesome, bro. I love that.
The reason being is because we were finding out that we were annoying some sellers, right?
Yeah.
Like we were having the same type of conversations with the cold caller and texter and the lead manager. So we had to do two things. We had to turn down the conversation with the cold caller and texter to just a
Mhm.
very simple conversation and tweak our conversation at the lead manager standpoint.
I love
But
that.
to answer the first question of the day, how did you get your first deal? This is how I got my first deal. I pulled a list. I had a virtual assistant call that list. I was then the lead manager and the closer, and I went on the appointment and I locked it up.
Boom. And same with me. How did I get my first deal from my marketing? I told the story about how I got my actual first deal, but when I started marketing, um, I got it the same way, cold calling. Except I was the cold caller. I got the prospect. I cold called. I did everything on it. Right. I didn't get a VA. Right. So there's a choice you can make. Like we said, you need a dialer. Right. You definitely need a dialer, but you don't need a VA. You don't need a VA if you can spend money and you can afford a VA. Get a VA all day. If I had the money to get a VA, I would get one. But you don't need a VA. You can cold call yourself. You can lead manage yourself. You can get the deal yourself, right? And then once you grow, once you get deals, then you start growing. Then you add more people to your team, right? So hell yeah,
By
bro.
the way, what I just told you guys took me like 8 months to figure out.
Yeah,
That was 8 months of me pouring into my team and testing stuff and figuring things out. I probably should have just found somebody who was doing it and took their stuff, right? Like I probably should have plugged into a Wholesale Hard Knocks.
For sure. But you got through it. And now, that's what you needed, bro. You needed that. You needed to go through it, and now you understand it more. And now it's just like, okay, now it's just numbers, right? Now you just put everything together, and it's like, this is what we need to do. Boom. So mine is a little bit different, right? Well, I'm doing strictly JV, right? So I don't need to generate the lead. And Mike, if you want to pull your screen back up and share it again, because people who are direct to seller and people who do JV, we're on the same team, right? We work together. So there's people who have the abilities and have the time and actually love to generate these leads all day, right? So they start with pulling a list and getting the prospect, getting the 4 pillars. They have a lead, right? Now, the way that they get pushed to their leads turn into deals is they squat up with people like me, right? Who say, okay, you're really good at generating leads. I'm really good at acquisitions and closing deals, right? I have a whole acquisitions team built out just to close deals for other people, right? So you talk with somebody who's doing JV, right? You figure out what you guys agree to, whatever the agreement is, right? I make it simple. I split everything up into 4 pieces, right? So lead generation, 25%, acquisitions, 25%, dispo, 25%, transaction coordinating, 25%, right?
Ooh, okay. Say that one more time.
Yeah, so lead generation, if you generate the lead, you get 25% of the pie, right? If you close the deal, you get 25%. So you do the lead management, the follow-ups, right? You close the deal, do the whole acquisitions, you get 25%. You do the dispo, 25%. You do TC, 25%, right? So I tell people all the time, if you want to do 50-50, find the buyer, right? I'm going to do the acquisitions and I'm going to control the deal. I'm going to do the TC every single time, right? Majority of the time. Sometimes I don't. If it's beneficial for the deal, then we'll just let them do it, right? If it's like in cities like we're doing a deal in New York right now, and our JV partner has an LLC in New York, you have to go through attorneys and stuff like that. So we're like, okay, you can do it in your LLC, right? That's fine. But most of the time, I'm going to do the TC. I'm going to do the acquisitions. If you want 50-50, do the dispo, right? You're generating the lead for us. That's cool. We'll give you 25% if that's all you want to do. And a lot of people, they're cool with it, right? They're like, I just want to generate leads. I don't want to do nothing else, right? I'm cool with the 25%. And that's what we do, right? So it's about knowing your strengths, right? Of course, you want a team, right? Everybody wants a team. Everybody wants to squad up people, which I definitely recommend you build a team yourself and do that too. But if you don't have the time right now and you're generating leads, squad up with somebody who has a team built out to close deals, right? So our conversations with our sellers, they go pretty similar to as yours, Mike's, right? We start off, we want to get the motivation as fast as you can, right? And I'm really big on figuring out I'm a strong believer. I can get the motivation within the first minute of the call, every single call. And it's the exact way that you started it off, bro. It's I go, I can't see, is this house vacant? Is this rental property? Is this one you're living in? Right. And we assume that this person that we're talking to, this lead, we're assuming that they already spoke with somebody. They already told somebody that they're interested in selling, right? Because they did. We didn't generate this lead, somebody else did, right? So we're assuming that you spoke with somebody on our team and that you're looking to sell this property, right? So I'm not even asking you, are you interested in selling? I'm going straight into it like, hey, you spoke with Mike on my team about this property on Main Street that you're looking to sell, right?
The lead's already generated, right?
Exactly.
Leads already generated, which means they want to sell. So this is why it's an easy conversation to just get right into the weeds. Like, yo, why would you ever sell this property? Because that's what's most important, especially when it's already a lead. But Daryll, could you go into the leads already generated from another maybe direct to seller business or something like that? They generated the lead, but how does it become a JV lead? Because then it's a lead for the direct to seller business, but it's not a lead for your JV business yet until it gets put in your system, right? So
Exactly.
how are your JV leads generated?
That's a great question, bro. And it's this is a repeat and referral business, right? JV
Mm,
is repeat and referral, right? So it's your job to one, show people that you can actually close deals, right? Two, provide so much value to people that they want to work with you, right? You provide value to people that they're going to want to work with you, right? So I focused on one, showing people what I could do, right? I used to drop my call recordings in sub two, right? I still do that sometimes. Hold Zooms, like underwriting Zooms, just help people as much as I could, right? And let them know what I do, right? People aren't going to work with you if they don't know what you're doing, right? So you need
mhm.
to sell, you need to first sell yourself, right? You need to tell people like, yo, this is what I do. If you need help with your leads, bring them to me, right? So,
Here's what you got to
man,
do, right?
prospect.
You're
Yeah.
prospecting. You're what you're doing, bro, is instead of going directly to a seller and being the McDonald's sign, you are being the McDonald's sign yourself to different prospects, not sellers, but JV partners. So you're raising the McDonald's sign that says, "Hey, I have dollar cheeseburgers," to JV partners.
Yep.
And then finally somebody's like, "Damn, dollar cheeseburgers, hell yeah." And they go to
Exactly.
the drive-through and they submit a lead to Daryl.
And here's what happens. Here's what happens, right? Once you close one deal for somebody, right? You bring them their deal. Most times, they're just going to keep bringing you leads, right?
Bro, once you eat a
And-
Big Mac, dog.
exactly. You're just going to keep coming back, right? And and honestly, what I learned as well, as long as you have systems and processes set up to where they're always in the loop and they know exactly what's going on with their lead, they're going to continue to bring you leads, right? Because they know like, hey, this person isn't just taking my lead and it's not going anywhere, right? Like this is I need to have a I look at it as like customer experience, right? Like you're coming into to my business, right? And I want you to have the best experience possible, right? So what I do is I have it set up to where as soon as somebody sends in a lead, it gets put onto on an Excel sheet, right? A spreadsheet that gets shared with me and you, right?
Mhm,
So every week my team goes in and updates that spreadsheet with your leads, right? So you know exactly where the leads are in my system. You know when the last conversation was, you have the notes, you know when the next call is scheduled, right? So now you don't have to keep stressing yourself out and stressing me out by getting me up every single day, you know, calling me what's going on with this lead, what's going on with this lead. When you have 50 to 100 JV partners, right? You can't have everybody hitting your phone up because it's just not practical, right? You're not gonna be able to get back
mhm,
to anybody. Um, so yeah, that's the main thing, right? And you need to have something simple like so. Um, I have my website jvwithdaryl.com, right? You just go jvdaryl.com literally and input your leads, right? Like I have it very simple, it's very catchy. You can't really forget that. Like jvwithdaryl.com. If you know me, you should probably know how to get leads to me, right? You just literally jvwithdaryl.com, right? So it's just a simple process to where somebody can just send leads, send all the information to the leads. It goes straight to my CRM and everything is there, right? So like again, like Mike said, took me 6 to 8 months to figure this out, right? So yeah, you go through here and something that's very simple, right? If you do not have a lead, if you have a lead that's not yet under contract, please submit your information below, right?
mhm.
Um, it's just very simple, right? Just put your information in there. It takes you through. You put all the property information in, and you submit a lead, right? I also have so in this with JV, right? Transparency is everything, right? And you need to be very upfront with people and you need to talk to them and explain to them what things are
Mm,
gonna what things are gonna look like after you get a deal, if you even get a deal, right? So one, I tell people I need volume, right? Like if you can't send me one lead and expect it to be a deal right away, especially if it's a dead lead, right? You can't just send it and expect a deal. You need to send
Mhm.
volume. More leads you send, more of a chance you get a deal. And second, if you go down, Mike, just go all the way down, click that blue link, and then you can exit out. But you need to be able to. That's the agreement. That's our JV agreement,
Mm.
right? So there's no like, oh, I didn't know what this was. I didn't know what the agreement was. You have to agree to the agreement before you even submit a
You got
lead.
to click the freaking blue check mark.
Exactly. Exactly. So everything is transparent, everything is upfront, and I wanted to like user experience is one of the most important things because it's repeat and referral, right? You want somebody to say, "Oh, you're having trouble with lead gener with closing deals, go to Daryl. He does this for a living," right? So
Mhm.
it's all about free lead generation. It's about putting yourself out there, showing people what you can do, providing value, and making the experience for that person coming in as easy as possible. Right. And
Mhm.
then you have to perform. You got to execute. You have to actually close deals for people.
Yeah.
So JV, in my opinion, is a very I would say it's simple. But again, it's not easy, right? Just like with real estate, right? It's not easy at all because you need consistent people to send you leads. So I would say start with one person, right? Find somebody who is generating leads on a regular basis, but is just not closing deals. And you tell that person, hey, I can close deals for you, right?
Mhm.
Free lead generation. So somebody be resourceful, right? Find somebody who is generating leads, or if even you can JV by finding somebody who has a damn dialer and using the dialer when they're not using it, right? Like all of that is JV. There's so many different ways to JV. You can if you looked on my JV website, there's also a place for dispo, right? So if somebody has a deal that's under contract, we can JV that way too. I'll find a buyer for you, and I got my list of markets on there that I have buyers in. And if you want to send a deal in, you can send that too, right? So you can JV in so many different ways. Do not you got to just be creative, right? Be creative.
Yeah. Daryl gives 25% for TC. So maybe you're a real estate agent who has never done a deal before, but you really understand how transactions are done from a contract standpoint, right? Like plug in with somebody who needs a transaction coordinator. You could literally get 25% of a deal and you see a deal go from start to finish.
Yep.
That's what's so important. I think one of the biggest things for new investors and new wholesalers is to get their hands on a freaking transaction. Because what it does is it puts a light bulb off in your head like, wait, holy crap, this is a real business.
For
Dude,
sure.
I was going to quit this business because I was like 6 months in spending a shit ton of money and didn't make any money. I thought the business was fake. Once I got the first $20,000 check, yo, come on, bro.
It's
I'm like,
over.
nah, it's over. I got to
It's
go
over.
find the next one. Right?
Exactly.
That's it.
I love it. Um, bro, what I wonder if we have any questions. Did you guys have any questions? Donna says, do you leave the seller your phone number? I do. I mean, they have it when we call too, right? Like,
Mhm.
so you want them to get back in contact with you, right? So most people have caller ID, so they have your number regardless. So I like to send texts, to let them know who I am, right? And the whole goal is to get them to save your number and know who you are when you call.
Yeah, most people these days like they have caller ID and they
Okay.
know the phone number that called them. So I won't leave the phone number like, hey, this is Mike. Give me a call back at 774. Da, 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 da.
Right.
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 I'm not giving you guys my phone number because no, I'm playing. But anyways, I don't do that. I do more of like a very broad type of voicemail.
Yeah.
And it's just like, hey, this is Mike. Give me a call back.
I like to make my voicemails fun, bro. I tell the seller, I'm like, I say, hey, it's Daryl. We haven't spoken in a minute. I miss you. Give me a call back. Just give
Mm-hmm.
me a call back. Or I won't even say my name. I just say, hey, I miss you. Give me a call back. Or you could make it. You want the whole goal is to make them curious and want them to call back,
That's
right?
it.
So like you could say, hey, seller, it's Daryll. Got great news for you. Give me a call back.
Mm-hmm.
What's the great news,
Those
right?
are those are great ones, especially for people that are ghosting you. I use the two that I use the most, or people that you have already talked to and that are ghosting you, is hey, I got great news, and two, should we assume that you're all set? Should I assume that you're good?
Is this deal done? Is this a dead deal?
Right.
Yep. I like that. I like to send that on text. I like to send that through text.
Mm-hmm.
Is this deal dead?
Mm-hmm.
Um, another voicemail. I use the cliffhanger voicemail. Have you ever done that?
No. What's that mean?
So cliffhanger voicemail is when you just stop in the middle of your conversation and just hang up, right? So it's like, hey Mike, it's Daryl. Just give me a call. Just drove past your property and just hang up. Boom, just click.
I love
Yep. So they're
that.
like, what the heck? What
Hey,
is he gonna
Daryl, it's
say?
Mike. I mean, I have to tell this something.
It just yep, just hang up.
I love that. I
Just
love it.
hang up. Fletcher says, is your lead manager a VA or local?
For me, mine's a VA.
I have one of each. I have not one of each, but I have one VA and I have a couple lead managers that are local. My goal is to get everybody VAs. I want my whole team to be VAs. Closers, lead managers, cold callers, like literally everybody. Probably have a sales manager, dispo manager that are in the States,
Mm-hmm.
but majority of my team, I want them to be VAs.
Love it.
Yeah.
What else do we got for questions?
Let's see if we got anything else. Can you talk about what some post sale looks like?
Oh, what a post sale looks like. Are you talking about like the last compartment of the Sandler submarine? Maybe
I think so.
this is just I let the seller know, right? Like once we have a deal locked up, we let the seller know, like, hey, we tell them a third party story of what happened in the past where a seller came back and they tried selling to another buyer and it just got in a crazy litigation. Here's literally what I say. I blame it on somebody else. I'm like, hey, we actually did a deal like 2 months ago where another buyer came in after us and got the property under contract like $5,000 or $10,000 more than us. What happened was my business partner doesn't play that stuff, right? Like we're spending a bunch of money every single month in marketing, and my business partner's like, yeah, no, that's not happening. It's not me. I don't want to get into the litigations and stuff like that. But that specific example, we ended up in a crazy litigation. Not only was it bad for us, but it was even worse for the seller. I just don't want that to happen for you. So like before I go back and show this contract to my business partner, are you ready to go? Like are you set in stone? Yeah, I'm ready to go. Okay, cool. So don't come back to me and tell me that you have another buyer or some BS.
Why is that important, bro?
It's important because this week we had a seller come back to us where we failed to do this at and said, here's what the seller said. The seller was like, I can't find a place to go. It was contingent upon her buying another house. And she said,
Yeah.
I can't find another place to go. Right. I'm not getting approved for the place. And I'm like, is that really what's going on? I started having a further conversation with her. I talked to her for like 20 minutes. Come to find out she had another buyer go there the next day.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, well, this other buyer came here and offered me like $20,000 more than you guys. Like,
Happens every
oh,
time.
got it. So you're lying. You didn't even talk to the people.
Happens every time, bro.
So now we're working those things out. But it's like at the end of the day, we're under contract. She can't go with anybody else. But I don't want to get in litigations and stuff with
We don't
people.
want the headache. We don't want the headache.
A headache, dude. Like,
And we want the money. We don't want to wait. Like litigations mean you got to wait to get paid on that deal. Nobody wants to wait to get paid. You don't want to wait a year, 6 months to get paid on a deal. Like
Exactly.
Just get it done. Let's make sure everything is good. We went through the post sale when we went through Sandler and that sales training again. So like if you really want to deep dive in post sale, I would go into that as well. But another part of the post sale that's super important, bro, that I don't think a lot of people talk about, is following up with the seller after they're under contract,
Yeah.
right? We had some issue this week. A property that we're closing on next week. The Usually it's our TC that she stays in contact with the seller after we get it locked up, right? So she'll give her updates on what's going on with title, maybe call once a week type of thing. This time we couldn't get in contact with him. We just had an email sent, right? Just had email communication, and the seller got like really flustered. She's like, I haven't been talking to anybody, blah blah blah. You guys haven't even come to see it yet, and she was just tripping, right? So we had to get back on the phone with her, calm her down, and everything like that. But you want to give them peace of mind, right? You make it just like we were talking about with JV user experience. Your customer, with your seller, you need to make their experience as easy as possible, right? So that means following up with them, keeping them in the loop, because most people only sell 1 to 2 houses in their entire lives, right? So you want to make this process extremely simple for them, and you want to make sure you're professional and making this a easy process, doing the right things with them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
great question. Great question. Post sale super important to and to let them know, like, hey, it's just setting those expectations, right? Like you're gonna get other offers. Um, right. If you're not completely on point with and just on go with working with us, right, then let me know right now, right? We'll rip this contract up, whatever you want to say, right? But you have to let them know that there will be another offers, right? I like the third party story. I tell third party stories as well about like litigations that we've been in. It's all to set expectations with the seller and let them know, like, look, we're buying this house, right? Make sure you guys are on the same page. Um, so yeah, like yeah.
Nick asked, "What do you guys' CPC?" I'm assuming he's asking cost per contract. For us, it's about $2,500 per contract.
Yeah, ours is like $600.
That's for killer.
Yeah, like 600, $700.
That is killer.
Yeah, it definitely is. But I'm going to start. Like I told you, I need to get in direct to seller as well, because you can predict that. You can predict your deals way more, right? Like I can predict if I put this amount of money in, I should be getting this amount of money out, right?
Mm-hmm.
JV, it's a little bit different, right? It's pretty tough to scale that when you need to be the face of something, and like you need to constantly provide value to others, right? I mean, I love doing it, right? I love providing value to others, but for everybody, it's a little tougher to do that on a consistent basis and scale that to where you can predict what you're going to be making every single month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, facts. Um, can you share what your VA team meetings look like? So, Nick, in the beginning, like I spent, I don't want to say too much time, but I spent a lot of freaking time pouring into my team, figuring out what I taught you guys at the beginning, figuring out the step by steps of how these conversations should go. And it was like the meetings were everything. There were call calibrations, there were role plays, there were all these things, right? But now that my team has matured, what we do is I actually like when a new team member comes on the team, I have somebody who's already doing it, who's been in the game with us for like 6 months. I have them teach them what to do. So they have their own separate meetings. And then what our team meetings look like is more of like a culture uplifting type of thing where we're talking about mindset and we're talking about like what's going on in their personal life and their goals and everything like that. That's essentially what goes on in our daily meetings now. And all the coaching and stuff is done within the team. So it's essentially it's the it's the player coach model. So like Alex on my team is coming up, has came up to lead manager, right? Karen on my team used to be a lead manager and is now an acquisition manager. So Karen is teaching Alex, lead manager. They go have their own separate meetings. So that's what I mean by player coach model. I'm not on meetings with my team anymore, like really coaching them like crazy. As far as the virtual assistants goes, they're coaching themselves. But when we have a team huddle and I have all the virtual assistants and the whole team together, we're going over stuff like mindset and that. Now, the other meetings that I have, if you guys watch my YouTube channel at all, every single day, Monday through Friday, I go live with my acquisitions team. They bring opportunities to the table, and I give them advice on what to do with the opportunities. And essentially, that's what the coaching looks like for me and my sales team. And I send my sales team over to Daryll. Daryll actually has a sales training that he has going on. And I'm like, hey, why don't you guys go plug in with Daryll and get some sauce over there? And Daryll has a bunch of things that he does in his sales training.
Heck yeah. Shout out to Karen. Shout out to Karen and Felipe. They've been
How they doing, bro?
They've been crushing it, bro.
I
love seeing the growth, bro. I love it. Well, yo, I think that's all the questions we got for today, brother. I hope you guys got some value today. Make sure, again, you guys are subscribing to both YouTube channels. It should be in the description below. If it's not, we'll add it there. Make sure you guys like these videos for us. Like this video. If you guys have more questions, go back and watch the previous videos. Watch the sales training videos. Watch the introduction we did to today's video. Make sure you guys are tuning in every single Saturday at noon Eastern time, 9 a.m. Arizona time. We will be here every single Saturday. Mike, you got anything else for anybody?
We got somebody that said, hold on. I think you might have a question. And then there's another question up here that I can answer really quick. When a seller denies to sign at the closing table, have you ever put cloud on title? If yes, how does that process look like? I've never had that happen to me, like all the way at the closing, but I was the wholesaler, not even the wholesaler, the buyer that was trying to buy a property from from a seller who was under contract with another buyer that I wasn't aware of. And the other buyer put a memorandum on the property. That's how we found out that there was another buyer there. So essentially what that other buyer did is the buyer filed what we call a memorandum, clouded the title. And when I went to go buy it, not knowing that there was another buyer involved, it popped up on title. I reached out to the buyer wouldn't even talk to me. And he had like his attorney say, yeah, release it for 60 grand or whatever. I'm just like, all right, bro, whatever. You can have the deal. But essentially what that buyer did is he put a memorandum on the property. It came up when I went to go buy it, and I couldn't buy it unless I gave him 60 grand.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how that wholesaler did that. And it's actually really, really, really simple. All right. So you go here, deeds.com. You go to e-recording, and it doesn't work in all states, right? But majority of states it does. And it's a really simple process. They're closed for the weekend, so they won't allow me to show it right now. But you literally set up an account, you start a package, you upload the documents, you upload the contract, and you upload the signed and notarized memorandum, and then you upload it to them, and you they'll literally send you a message. They'll file this within an hour, right? It's actually really simple. Most states are different for the prices, but I think last one we did, it was like $80. You did one for 80, and then there was another one for like 75 in Georgia. But here's the important part, right? It needs to say in your contract that you are allowed to file a memorandum, because if you don't have it in that contract, if it doesn't state that you're able to file a memorandum, then your memorandum, I mean, you can do it, right? But it doesn't really make sense, right? Because we've had one where we got a contract on a seller, we opened up escrow, there's a memorandum on the property, right? So what I did was, first thing I did was I reached out to that title company who were doing the transaction the first time, and figured out who filed the memorandum, right? So they had to give me that information. They gave me the memorandum, they gave me the contract that was signed with that seller and the other wholesale company. I read their contract, it said nothing about a memorandum, right? So I filed my memorandum anyways, and my memorandum is the one that's going to actually work. I'm going to actually get paid on it, because in my contract it says that I'm legally allowed to file a memorandum. Their contract said nothing about that. So I went to negotiate with them. They didn't want to. They didn't want to go any lower. They didn't want to go lower than what I wanted to go to. So I said, okay, fine. You can try to take me to court, but I'm going to win. Like my contract has memorandum, yours doesn't, right? So make sure your contract shows that you're allowed to file a memorandum legally, and you just go on deeds.com and just do it electronically. It's really simple.
Love it. Cryptic. There's Antone Tucker out of Columbus, Ohio. He does a lot of deals out there. You could
It
probably
depends on what part of Ohio, bro. Ohio's a huge market.
Here's what you do. If you want to find more Ohio investors, you go to Pace Morby's free Facebook group. It's like Creative Finance with Pace Morby, and you do a post in there and you say, hey, I don't know if you're looking to wholesale or you're just looking to network with a bunch of investors out there, but hey, I'm in Ohio doing a bunch of deals. Can you shoot me a DM if you want to connect or something like that?
Say what parts of Ohio, tag me, tag Mike in there. We're both in that Facebook group. We'll comment on the post, and we'll also I'll tag some Ohio people on there as well that I know. But I got to know what market you're looking for. So go ahead and make that post in that Facebook group.
Yeah, I love that. Say Mike and Daryll sent me to this Facebook group and said I should connect with all the Ohio people doing deals. Shoot me a DM.
That Facebook group, damn. Hold on.
Guys, also, what I was saying about my phone number, you guys can have my phone number, but shoot me a DM. That's the best way to reach me here. The Mike Gomes. If you guys just want to get in touch with me, at the Mike Gomes on Instagram, shoot me a DM. I'm doing voice messages, video messages, everything with you guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and that's it. Here's the Facebook group. If you guys missed that, it's Creative Finance with Pace Morby. If you're not already in that group, make sure you go to that group. It's the biggest creative finance and just real estate investing group that I've seen on Facebook. I'm pretty sure it's the biggest out there. Make sure you guys tap into that. Plenty of sub 2 students, plenty of people who are crushing it in there, doing deals. Go network and squad up with people. As for Wholesale Hardknocks, what is this, bro? Episode 19?
Yeah, bro.
I love it, dog. 19 straight weeks. We're not planning on missing any days. So make sure you guys tune in next Saturday, 9 a.m. AZ time, 12 o'clock Eastern time to Wholesale Hardknocks. We out of here, y'all.